everyone, this is Music Tech Help Guy, and welcome back to another episode of Free Plugin Weekly. Today we're checking out BitterSweet version 3 from Flux Audio. This is an interesting free transient designer, and I actually used this. They used the first version of this years and years ago on some projects, and I was really happy to see that it's still around. And the thing is, transient designers are not uncommon. Most DAWs have their own stock versions of them now. Logic has the Enveloper plugin, but BitterSweet does transient design in a really nice way. It doesn't overdo it. So since this is a transient designer, I'll demonstrate this on both electronic beats and acoustic drums. So right now I've got this loaded up on a track stack with my whole drum beat going into this drum stack here. So that's the beat as is, but you can load this up on individual channels as well, which I'll do later on in this video. So the big knob controls the transient amount. So on the bitter side, this increases the transients, and on the sweet side, this decreases or reduces the transients. So one of my problems with transient designer plugins is a lot of times they sound really great when you want to add punch to your drums, but they sound terrible when you're trying to reduce punch. And there's a lot of situations where you may want to take a beat and or a drum loop or whatever it may be and actually make it less punchy. If it's a softer song like a ballad or something like that, sometimes having a really slamming kick and snare sound just isn't what you want. And I find that using the sweet side is actually really nice for taming drum beats and loops, where you want to keep a beat underneath your song, but you don't want it to be the focus of the song. You just want it to more or less keep time and let other things like the vocalist and the keyboards and things like that be the focus of the song. Another thing that's great about this is you can link the output volume or the output gain to the transient amount. So if you turn this link button on, as you increase the transient amount, it'll actually decrease the output gain. So what'll often happen is if you add too much of a transient boost, you'll end up with a signal that really heavily clips. So by doing this, it automatically reduces the output volume as you add gain on your transients. There's 3 transient modes: fast, medium, and slow. Slow seems to be the most gentle sounding, and fast seems to be the hardest sounding. So this is what I was talking about before with this being a really good, like natural, gentle transient designer. If you just want a little bit more emphasis on the kick and snare or on the drum beat or whatever it may be, just put this in medium or even slow mode and pull up the transient amount just a little bit, and it'll add just a bit more front end attack to your kick and snare hits. The period slider down here sets the range of the time window used to detect transients. So with this at a lower value, the transient processing has a shorter window, and the amount of transient that's let through will be shorter. With this longer, you'll find more long transient material comes through. So with this up, you'll probably hear more of the kick drum coming through, more of the front end attack of the kick drum coming through. So it kind of works similarly to the attack time in a compressor, but it's not quite the same thing. It's more like a hold control, but for the processing time range for the transient designer. Let's try this out on an acoustic drum kit. So like I said before, you can use this on individual channels. So here I've got it loaded up on my snare top channel. Another great thing about this plugin are the 3 operation modes: main, center, and stereo. Really, these should be labeled stereo, center, and sides because main affects the entire stereo signal, left, right, and center. Everything gets affected. Center converts it to mid side and just affects the mid channel or the center channel. And then stereo converts it to mid side but just affects the sides. So that's why I think these should really be labeled stereo, mid, and side, or center and side. So this is particularly useful if you're using this on an entire drum bus like I am here. So I've got this loaded up on my entire drum bus. I've got it in center mode, and I can use the transient amount to just affect things in the center channel like kick and snare. This is also really helpful for drum loops where everything's rendered down to stereo and you can't separate anything, but you can still isolate the center channel and bring out or bring down elements in the center or the sides. Now, because BitterSweet converts the mid-side modes back to stereo, it's actually pretty easy to just stack up two of these, one in center and then one in stereo or sides, and then you have individual transient control between the center channel and the sides. So here I've bumped up the transients in the center and pulled down and tamed the transients in the sides. So that's BitterSweet version 3 from Flux Audio. I'll leave a link to download it in the video description below if you want to check it out. If you like this video, please leave it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to see more content like this. You can also check me out on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and if you'd like to make a monthly contribution to the channel, you can also check me out at patreon.com/Music Tech Help Guy. Thanks for the support, and thanks for watching.